I'm doing this introduction at the end of the video. I'm most of the morning through filming now. It's been quite an adventure. This is the XLFRC F19A, and the A is for brushless. It's a 110 scale, it's actually 112 scale monster truck provided to me by Temu, an online marketplace. Now this is my second Temu video. This is a sponsored video. I've been paid to make this video, but it's not an advertisement. Well, I suppose you might say it is an advertisement, it's paid, but it comes with a catch for Temu, not for you guys, and that is one of my conditions for doing any review for any company, whether it's a reseller like Temu or for a manufacturer, is this. If the thing sucks, I'll let you know about it. I'll always let you know about it. If it doesn't suck, hooray. In this case, the car kind of did suck at the start. We've been on an adventure with it and now it doesn't suck. And so I'm very pleased to give you the rest of the required Temu spiel, and here it is. It comes with a buyer's guarantee, a 30-day price guarantee. So if you buy the thing and then its price drops, you can claim for the difference. My camera's going wonky here. It likes to spin out. For new users, there's a link and a coupon code below. You can actually search for this coupon code here or use the link below, and it will take you to this truck or a couple of options for it to get it as cheaply as I think it might even be available for under any branding on the internet. I certainly found that with my last Temu truck, the Q130. So thanks to Temu for providing this thing. It's got its price guarantee, it's got the links, all the discounts you need. Now we're going to look at this, and this one comes with a bit of a story. It's already been driven and bashed around. It wasn't perfect out of the box. I always try and make the thing better than when I found it, and I reckon we've actually succeeded pretty well today. I have had a breakage. I've also shown you guys how to make it work a lot better than how it comes. Let's get into that now. I can't wait. This is the F19A brushless version. Let's do it. This is the XLFRC F19A brushless monster truck. It's supposedly a 110 monster truck. It's not a 110 monster truck. All right, this is a 110 monster truck. I'm dealing with scale first because it's the most often noticed or complained about thing with some of the smaller stuff that claims to be 110 or 110 mini. So this is actually a 112 scale. We're going to call it a 110 just because that's what it claims to be. It's actually heavier than the MT10 rival, funnily enough. Now this is the second of two trucks I've been sent by Temu, and I've been paid for this review and supplied the car. I still selected whatever I wanted within their budget, but this is a sponsored review. So please take with a grain of salt whatever I say, or what anyone says on reviews, honestly. That includes all my other stuff. I always try to be honest and upfront with you, transparent with my processes and whatnot. I'm still gonna have blind spots, even like regardless of whether I paid for stuff, which is a lot of what's behind me here, or if I've been paid to make a video, which is the case for this one. But a quick note before we dive in, as I say, this is from Temu, and they're an online store. They're not the manufacturer of this, but they have a wide range of, I guess, entry-level RC stuff, and I've tried to buy stuff for these reviews that are their upper echelon of stuff. I'm very ready to burn bridges completely in order to maintain integrity for this channel. So if you're new to the channel, that's something I've been sticking with forever. That's not going anywhere. Whether or not I accept a car for review, I'm still absolutely sticking with honesty first. That's all I want. I want to show you guys my experience with the car, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the unexpected, all of that. This has independent front and rear suspension, completely normal for this kind of car. Note what happens when the suspension compresses though. The toe out increases hugely, and I can already tell you why that is. It's because we're going to find that the arms on this thing are not going to be parallel. Simple polycarbonate body, very light, precisely what you want for a monster truck, and nicely damped shocks, by the way, with adjustable mount points front and rear. It's a little 370 motor or so, brushless motor. That's quite small for a 110, but since this isn't a 110, I guess we can forgive it. When the front goes down, you see the toe increases hugely. This is because the arms that control the toe in and out on the front are also the steering arms. They're the arms that push the wheels out and in. They are not mounted in a way that's parallel to the other bars on this car, or the other links rather. And so as this thing articulates, the distance between the steering point and the bell crank lengthens, which means this arm is now not long enough. if it was parallel with both of these, like the upper arm and the A arm itself, that length would stay the same because the whole thing can pivot. Because it's on a different angle to the others, yeah, it's a further distance, which unfortunately increases the tow out. So when you land, anytime the suspension compresses, or when you're braking for that matter, especially if you're turning, you're going to lose turning, because look what happens to the outside wheel. It straightens up, right? Regardless of which way you're going. You're going to lose turning, and that's going to produce understeer, which means you're trying to steer. That's at maximum steering under compression, right? So you're going to go straight rather than steering, even when you're braking, which breaks with how monster trucks usually handle. Usually, you brake, that transfers your weight forward, right? So you've been accelerating. Monster trucks love to wheelie, so you can't steer here, so you brake, right? That transfers the weight forward, and then you can steer really well. But because the geometry is kind of stuffed on this thing, and you can't easily fix that, yeah, under braking, you're going to lose steering. How to fix that? Let me see. Do you know what? I think I can fix this. Look, let's drive it as it is first, and then we're going to come back and fix it without spending a cent for this one. I reckon we can fix it because it looks like there's room. I'll explain what I mean in a couple of minutes. It's going to be close, but I reckon we can do it. Okay, so the good news is your links are all adjustable, so you can adjust your toe. That's with the steering, and you want mild toe out. For a monster truck, you want mild toe out on the front and mild toe in on the rear, which you cannot adjust. You also want like negative camber, like the wheels being in a bit on the back. That gives you some stability. I'd like to see the rears in a bit. The hub angles can change that, and also a front link, if you didn't have a solid A-arm, can change that, but the back's pretty much how it is, and that's determined by the A-arms. These are the A-arms here. And the front is adjusted by the steering link, so we can adjust the toe, but the problem is, yeah, what I just talked about. So we'll come back to that. Camber is otherwise fairly neutral on this car, which is the upper links, which is fine. And then caster, if you're wondering, is the angle at which the pivot point for the steering. And it wants to be fairly neutral. It's often tilted back a bit. What are these? These are actually tilted forward a little bit. I'd like to adjust the caster on this too, actually, a little bit. I'm picking on the geometry first because whether you have a cheap or an expensive car, and we've got actually, what, 1, 2, 3 8th scale monster trucks to look at soon that I haven't looked at with you guys before. Whether they're really expensive things or really cheap things, if you get the geometry right, which doesn't cost you anything as a manufacturer, that can really make the difference between a cheap car being absolutely rubbish and absolutely amazing. And I have various other cars here. I won't pull them out because this is a paid temu review, but there are others out there that get the geometry right out of the box. What I'm hoping for today with this guy is what I hoped for with the Q130 that we did in the last temu review, and that is that we get more than we pay for. And that's really the saving grace and pretty much the whole business model of a company like Temu, selling stuff that undercuts your competition, that benefits you as a customer. So we've got a full metal underside and hubs. I usually wouldn't recommend that you go to metal for A-arms and hubs. Oh, hubs can be okay. They're the bits where the bearings are that the wheel's attached through. But the A-arms generally break or shear if they're metal and you have a hard hit. I'd recommend plastic for a truck like this because you want to be able to bend and flex when the thing crashes. Speaking of bending and flexing, there's plenty of bending and flexing in the rear. There's a wheelie bar that I had to install. It came with just like a rear cover instead, and you pop that off, just 2 screws, add 2 more for the top, and there's your wheelie bar, which is fine. It's got a nice little profile on it too, so it's actually well made, that. It's a full metal drivetrain, metal shocks, with metal caps. They're oil filled and they are adjustable, but I was talking about flexing. The shock towers themselves and the body mounts are extremely soft. That actually bodes well for keeping this thing alive in bad crashes, honestly. We've got plastic in the rear, a nice metal bash plate in the front. And if I had to guess where this thing's going to break with abuse. Oh, also it can't bottom out, by the way, so you could blow your shocks as well. Just the design's not quite right on this thing. I'd be thinking, I mean, it seems pretty good, honestly. I'm exerting a fair bit of force throughout the chassis here. I think you're going to find over time your weakness is going to be there, but the body is actually, sorry, the tub chassis is actually nicely made. It actually has plenty of flex to it. It's not like brittle. There's a cover over the center drive shaft. No, I'm pretty happy with that. Just before I popped the cover off this motor just to see what the gears were, 32 dot pitch and the full metal drivetrain. You can't change the pinion on this. I don't know that I'd be wanting to run 3S on this. I don't know if you can. There's nothing in the manual that tells you that you can. It comes with a 2S 2200 milliamp hour LiPo battery and a charger for it, which is probably like a 1500. I think it's a 1.3 or 1.5 amp. I can't quite rate it. 2S charger. Comes with a spare set of body clips, pins for your hex nuts, 2 different size Phillips heads, and a wheel wrench. 4 of everything basically, and 4 body pins with pull tabs, just, you know, the regular cheap stuff. I actually like how this car is set out. The radio itself too is also quite intuitive. It's got 4 AA's in the bottom that it takes, doesn't come with them. It's comfortable in the hand. It feels like I could almost crush it, like I can bend the plastic if I exert force. My grip strength is not the same as my brother's insane 140 kilos. Hi, Tim. But this, I feel like he might be able to crush it. It's cheap, but it's not as cheap as, oh no, it is. It's every bit as cheap. All right, so look, it's a cheap radio, but it only has one job: to be comfortable in the hand while you control it. And look, you've got full reach for this. Spring's not too awful. You've got trim for your, it says FR trim, that's throttle trim. The diagrams on the top of it are a bit silly, but there's front rear trim, which I hope is endpoint and it's just labeled wrong. There's left and right trim, so steering trim where you can adjust left and right, and we're going to need to do that. It says PCT trim. I'm guessing that means percentage trim, or basically endpoint for throttle. It's dialed all the way up, which tells me it probably is throttle. Channel reversing if you need to. You'll never need to worry about the channel reverse for the throttle, because with a brushless motor, even if you replace it or the ESC and it doesn't go the right direction, you just unplug one and another one, any of the 3, it doesn't matter. Oh look, I won't do it, but you just swap 2 of the wires and you'll get a reverse rotation on your brushless motor. That goes for any uncensored brushless motor, and many censored ones as well. T-connector, 45 amp, all-in-one ESC with a bunch of light outputs and some light areas for, I mean, other installations. I'm sure this car sells in a few different models. I see screw holes for all sorts of stuff, and also, you know, bodies that come with lights and whatnot. This is presumably their base model. The manufacturer is XLFRC, I think it was XLFRC. Yeah, and this is the F19A. F19 is a brushed version, F19A is brushless. And I did look up their website because I found on their manual, which is actually a completely fine manual, when you get to the parts, it's got exploded parts diagrams with part numbers next to every single bit on the car. You can search the internet for this and you'll find on the XLFRC.com website, they sell all the parts for this. They sell A-arms, suspension, body mounts, the lot. So it's all available there. I haven't looked at Temu or any of the other retailers. I assume Temu has some of the parts for this as well. But whether or not they do, the manufacturer supports this car with parts at the moment at least, and this is not a new car. It's been out for a little while to my understanding. So all in all, you're in a fairly safe position for a semi-budget 110 scale monster truck. Tires are glued nicely. They're a split rim design. Bigger on the inside, smaller on the outside. That's very typical. I like the dimensions of the thing. I like how it feels all up. I don't like this wonky steering setup, because even when I've got it roughly centered, she still isn't really rolling forward, and these tires are scrubbing out, and the greater the suspension, the more it scrubs. We're going to drive this stock first, and then we're going to do some fixes to it. Let's do that. I've charged the battery, so we're going to plug the thing in. Typically, this kind of design wants you to turn the car on first, then the radio. It's a 6 kilo servo, by the way. Well, it says 6 kilo. I don't know if it is. It's a metal steering arm. It's a metal bell crank, metal everything for that. And there's an adjustable servo saver on the bell crank itself. So that is just like a bigger car. The way the whole front end is attached has this nice thick plate on the bottom with 4 screws under the diff and 2 under the body, which goes into the bell crank, which gives you a lot of stiffness. And then there's this plate that still bolts into the top. plus 2 more on the top there. So it's pretty strong. I guess we're going to find out. I will abuse this today. We'll see just how hard we can drive the thing. I won't be overly kind to it, but I just like to find its limits, basically. Oh, look at that. So there are even 2 suspension mount points for your shocks. Putting them on the outermost, as they are, and on the innermost here, as they are, gives you the laziest suspension. And also, once it goes past a certain point down, it actually softens right up. I don't mind it like that. If you wanted to firm it up, you could move these to the outside points. It'd be a bit firmer, and if you want to make it firmer again, the more you stand them up, the more linear the suspension will be. You can move these in one as well. I'm going to leave everything loose. I want to see it loose. I wish it could slap, like chassis slap. Otherwise you risk the pistons shooting up the top of the shocks. But given they're a plastic cap underneath a plastic top underneath a metal cap, I'd also say it's pretty likely we're not going to see that today. The motor is also sitting up really high, actually. That's not great for your weight distribution. And the battery is also quite far back. They could have put the servo there and had a longer battery tray. That would have been nice. And then I just moved this same size battery forward. Your monster truck is a bit of a stunt truck by design. It's going to want a wheelie and stuff like that, which is fine. Right, so power buttons here, 45 amp thing next to it. Turn him on. Fan turns on straight away. Power on. There we go. Now, let's just work out what's going on here. It says throttle trim. If I dial this, all right, if I dial this, it might start driving. No, it doesn't. So if I turn it right down, we might have nothing. All right, so yeah, FR trim, the first one is actually your endpoint for throttle. Turn it right down for it to drive slow with little kids. Turn it right up for regular driving. PCT trim, percentage trim, is actually going to be steering endpoint, I suspect. So we've got steering trim on the end, RL trim, that's left right trim. But then I'm going to turn PCT trim right down. You watch this, it's turned right down. And as I turn it up, that's the middle dial, you get more throw. There is a point where we max out though. And we don't want to overcook it because it'll melt the servo. I don't like this. Either the spring's too soft or the servo's too weak. It's not returning to center from either side. We're going to just, I usually like to drive stock, but we're just going to tighten up this servo saver if we can. It needs a spanner. Blech. Didn't come with a spanner. No, it needs a spanner. All right, we're just going to leave it and hope for the best. I'm just going to have to correct as it goes because it's not returning to center for either. Anyway, that's that. So as I put this together, I'll say check out the link below on where to get this or the code, which is on screen again now. Type that in the search bar. Don't save that for the coupon thing at checkout. This is actually for the search bar. Type that in and it'll give you the discount that comes with this car. So thank you, Temu, for sending this to me. Let's hope, for everyone's sake, that this is a decent car. Let's drive. Come on, car. The diffs are very open. The body is rolling, rubbing heaps on the rear wheels. Now maximum takeoff is not particularly punchy. That'll be the ESC protecting itself. It's also really hard to keep in a straight line, I must admit. It feels nice and floaty though, nice and light. It's pretty stable. The center of gravity is quite good. Oh, I had a breakage already. Hang on, dog. Hang on. Let's have a look. So we've lost a screw, I'd say. Now that wasn't much of a hit. It's not badly broken. Oh, it's annoyingly broken. So, okay, so the screw is still there. The rod end, sorry, the ball end is still there, but the actual rod end itself has split, right? That wasn't a big hit. So that's nasty. That's quite nasty. We've barely started driving. The motor is up to the task. It felt actually quite light and floaty when it was running. What I'm going to do is just get a different rod end onto it now and come back and take the screw out and install it all again. This is a very easy fix, but these are meant to be strong because there's a lot of force pulling the wheel out, so we must have landed like that, which pulls on that upper control arm. Like hitting like that is going to pull the wheel out, which is putting the force on this. Now the good news is we've got CVDs in every wheel, so you're not losing dog bones, they're not flying all over the place. Some cars just have them loose, so you lose them. We've lost nothing on this car right now. We just need to replace this rod end, screw it back in and give it another go. So I'll do that and I'll be right back. All right, it took a little bit of finding, but I found a rod end that fit. They're a bit non-standard, but they're totally findable. The manual has the entire thing, so the two rod ends and the link in the middle as a single piece. I replaced the plastic rod end on its own, so now we're back to full function. Let's just drive it a bit more on this jump, because a monster truck of this size should be able to take some jumps. One breakage we put down to a freak occurrence, and it's not necessarily bad. Another one we put down to bad materials. Let's just see what happens. I don't like how it touches the body. It does feel lovely and light though. Yeah, okay, so the steering cycle's not great, but it's also not as bad as I thought it might be. Here, let's just move. It's not as bad as I thought it might be. The suspension does its job nicely. The ramp up with speed is actually quite slow. That's to protect itself, really. Lana's just noticed that I'm driving cars. She's inside now. You won't be doing backflips on 2S. And look, it might take 3S, I'm not sure, but it's a little motor. Yuck. This is not going to be a high action. Okay, so it'll be all right. Maybe it depends on the jumps. All right, let's have a look at it elsewhere. It claims a top speed of 70k an hour. That'd have to be on 3S because there's no way it's doing that. Even when it gets, look, let's just get out of there. Let's just see how fast I can get the thing going. I'm not going to strap a GPS to it today. I'm just going to go by eye, but let's see here. I'd say we're probably reaching 55k an hour at a guess. That's not terrible. But to see 70, you'd really need to be on 3S. Does this thing support 3S? Don't know. Manual didn't say anything about it. Doesn't mean it can't do it. The suspension is actually doing a lot of work for us here, which is really good. You're not going to see an Omni Terminator flip here. That's not going to happen. The motor is quite hot already. It has a nice big heatsink on it, which is great. But run this thing on 3S at this gearing, which I don't think is adjustable, and you might get your 70, but that's about all you'll get out of it. It does drive nice and lightly, which is good. It jumps fairly neutrally too, which is good, but what I want from a car like this is to see snappy acceleration so I can pull stunts off. Now I braked in the middle there in the air, and that caught the car just fine, and we landed on our wheels. But yeah, you're not going to be getting, you're not going to be pulling off big stunts with this. You're just not. It's very capable of jumping. How it takes the crashes, I'm not sure yet. Those diffs are very open. They just spin for ages. Nothing's bent, which is good to see. I'm looking for screws which have come out, and there's no problem there yet. It's a super windy day today. ESC is cool as a cucumber because it's got a fan. The motor doesn't have a fan. It's just got a heatsink on it. Heatsink's definitely doing its job. It's toasty. It is unusually high placed in this body. It really is. It's quite a thin body as well, which is actually quite good because thin Lexington bends nicely. There's no evidence of even shocks leaking yet, so that's a good start. Ooh, okay. There is one small issue, or is it just my eye? This A-arm has bent just a little upwards. I'm not expecting a huge amount of endurance from this car, but I'm expecting it to be able to take regular backyard monster truck driving, you know? We haven't even been abusive to it yet. One of my challenges of giving it an abuse test is that I just can't get the traction to get the speed that I want to be damaging to the thing. It just can't really go fast enough to hurt itself. Our little percentage is all the way up, I think. Oh yeah, we had that done already. Yeah, it is. It steers a bit better than I thought it would, but it's also extremely twitchy, and it's because of that toe out, which we really can't do much about. So I'm actually quite limited on what I can do with that toe out, besides winding the steering out a bit. But that would mean when the suspension is not compressed, we're angled in. It might be worth doing anyway, I'm not sure. Okay, look, it makes a bit more sense on this surface. It's got more traction, less sticks, less loose stones to worry about. It's still quite a loose track, this. I've got the throttle pinned most of the time. It's a very placid ESC, this. It also could be that the motor is undersized. It says HOSIM on the back cap of the motor. Now the steering actually kind of suits this. I'm wondering what a paved surface will be like now, actually. There we go. Huge tyres and power got us there. You've seen all the driving so far on this one 2200 milliamp hour battery. I've had the throttle pinned often, but there's not a lot of punch on this car. That's with the throttle turned right up too. Look, it's not bad. If you can get this thing for half the price I got it for, I'm not sure exactly what Temu will do for you, but if you can get it for around Australian 100, 120, you're doing well. I don't think that it's actually worth Australian $200, which is what they're asking for on the site, or $195. Mind you, it's not Temu, it's one of the resellers. I see it on other stores as well for similar money. So this is the F19A brushless version. Don't be fooled, it's not a 110, it's a 112, and it's got a power system that's similar to a brushed power system. Even though it's brushless, it drives like a brushed system. In fact, it's got even less snap than that. It doesn't have a slipper, I noticed, it's just all straight through metal. Look, for what it is, it drives satisfyingly enough as long as you're on the right surface for it. I didn't have much fun on the bigger jumps, but on something like this, racing with a friend, I can see how it would be fun. I'm not the most excited for this car. I do recommend though, if you're looking for a bargain, to check out the other Temu video I just did, the Q130. That with new suspension, which was only a couple of bucks by the way with the deal. Now that is a special car with a little bit of a fix. Oh yes, I said we were going to fix this up, didn't I? Why don't we see if we can fix this steering and then we'll come back and have another look at it. All right, I've just air sprayed this just to clean it up so it's on the workbench. I aimed my compressor at this for a little while to cool it down, and it's still too hot to touch the motor, not the heatsink. It was toasty hot. ESC is cool as a cucumber. This motor is too small for this car, and or it's overgeared. So run this on 3S at your peril. You may not kill that, but you'll kill this. Yeah, the motor is crazy hot. It's not adjustable gearing either, which is a shame. So it needs a 540 size motor, not this little brushless. That's my opinion. Now we're going to fix this steering. Don't use a drill like I am, but we're going to remove the steering arms off the bell crank. Instead of being on the bottom, we're going to put it on the top. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to get us closer to parallel, and I suspect, well, let's just try it. I won't thread lock it yet. We'll just try it and see what we think. My aim is to try and get this steering a little bit more neutral so that we don't have such fluctuation with the toe. Again, don't be a dill like me and use a drill. Use a hand tool for this. This is dumb using a drill. Low speed, but still, this is doing it dumb. Good news is this is free. It comes with screwdrivers. You can do this with everything included in the kit. You don't need to buy tools. Although thread lock would be useful. All right, let's just finish it by hand because I don't want to break threads or screws or whatever. There is actually red thread lock that's already dabbed on these arms, so yeah, that's pretty good. All right, now let's see. That's better. Look, it still has the problem, but it's a lot more neutral. Now, I don't need glasses for this. The next thing we're going to do is toe these in a bit, which means these have a little line on them, which means they're opposite direction. That goes for any turnbuckle. Some have a left and some have a right-hand thread, and that lets you stick a screwdriver through it and turn it. And we're going to do another half one on this. So now they've both had one full turn out from where they were. So now these rods are longer, which means our toe in is less. And look at that, look at that. So it's no longer going crazy. So this could have, it's so different, it could have just been an installation issue. To be clear, if you're not sure what I did here, I took these links, the steering links, off the bottom of the bell crank, and I moved them on top of the bell crank. That's all I did. The reason I did that was because the steering links, it's hard to show you on camera, but the steering links here still aren't parallel, right, with your top arm. But before they were way down low, and now they're up higher. And the reason for that is we're looking for as close an angle as we can to the other, like to the A arm and the top arm there, so that as the whole thing pivots, the distance between the top of this thing and that doesn't change. And that's how you'll get the car that looks the same. So any car with IFS that's done properly, all right, this is a good example. It's a crawler, but still. Look underneath there, you see the steering link is at the same angle as the upper link, so that when it articulates, try and keep this in the light for you, when it articulates, the steering angle doesn't change. It just doesn't change. That's what you want. And that's achieved by having the same geometry, like the matching, correct geometry, the matching steering link and the upper link are the same length. And then you won't get any kind of change in steering because the angles are all the same as the thing moves. When it's at a different angle, it changes the length, which is why we were getting busted steering. All right, so we have toe out a little bit when it's up, and then when it's down, it's almost toed in. I've probably gone a little far, but watch it be a whole lot less twitchy now when we put it back on the ground. So let's go do that. That's really all I've done. So that was free. You're welcome. Well, she's tracking a lot better now, although, oh, we're only in rear-wheel drive. All right. Some days filming just doesn't go all that well for me. I've just driven for 8 or 10 minutes with this thing running, and it was a lot better now that we've moved the steering links to the top. And the bump steer was largely eliminated. It's still there, but it's a lot better. Steering's quite good now. The downside is this thing still eats through battery and the motor gets crazily hot. Like, that's a passive heat sink and it's a very windy day. I haven't been driving for a few minutes and just the heat sink, not even the motor, is too hot to touch. This motor is going to be like dangerously hot. That tells me it's overgeared and or undersized for the weight of this car and its big wheels. If this was a short course truck or a rally truck, I think you'd have a different experience with it. I'm just going to kill the ESC, there we go. You'd have a different experience with it because the motor wouldn't be working so hard to move these big wheels. By the way, we lost four-wheel drive just now. It'd just be the grub screw on the end of the axle here that's come loose or out, most likely. I can't see where it's secured, but I can't do a quick fix. You've got to pull the top of the diff off to fix that. But look, fixing the links to get them roughly parallel has made all the difference. And also mounting the suspension on the inside holes rather than the outside as it came also made a big difference. It was just, it was struggling a bit before and now it's a lot better. If you wanted to stiffen it up, you could move them out and them in because you do have that adjustability. You can't change the gearing on this, unfortunately, and there's not a chance it can run on 3S. It hasn't said anywhere that it can, but this thing gets so hot on 2S, forget 3S. I'm not sure about this car. I think if it had a 540 size motor, it would be much better. If you could change the gearing, it would also be much better. As it is, I think the motor is tasked with too much car for its size. Maybe its KV rating's too high, maybe the gearing's just too tall. Can't really do anything about those things without changing the motor. The ESC seems quite happy. The radio is very comfy to use. I like it. I like that there are spare parts available for it. I don't like that there doesn't seem to have been thread lock installed on some of this stuff, like the driver shaft. I also don't think that you should have to fix the geometry out of the box. But look, we did fix it and it is a lot better now. So I'm happy about that. It's a mini size servo and a mini size motor for a larger size car that's actually not entirely light. In its stock form, I don't recommend it. If the code here will get you from Temu this thing for around $120 Australian, or whatever that is in, I think $77 currently US dollars, yeah, that's actually pretty good. My bottom line is I don't strongly recommend this car. If you can get it at a steep discount, yes I do. Just be prepared to fix the geometry and move the shocks around a bit. This thing won't last, but it's still okay. And look, worst case, you can always turn the throttle down on FR trim, turn that sucker down a bit, and if the kids are bashing with it at a lower speed, you're still going to have a good time. I must thank my channel members, the RC-TNT Scratch Build guys. Thank you so much, guys, for your support. Here are their names. I have 3 tiers, and all 3 of them are providing some money each month to keep this machine running. Thank you. The top 2 tiers get to see these videos before they're published to the public, and they all come with my very sincere thanks. Thank you very much. Thank you to Temu for sending me this thing. Look, this is not the best car. Temu didn't make it, they're just selling it. They do sell a lot of entry-level stuff like this. My general advice outside of this car is to avoid cars that have the alloy like this. You want plastic. Plastic is generally better. It bends rather than, like it flexes rather than permanently bending. It also keeps the car light, which is very much what you want. This little motor is too small. If you get a 16 scale or something with this size motor, happy days. A 10 scale or a 12 scale like this, nah, she's a little bit too big for the motor. That's my thoughts on this truck in a nutshell. Avoid unless half price, in which case, yeah, check it out and have some fun with it. Thanks for watching, guys. Throw me a like, and I will catch you next time on RC-TNT. Cheers.